Hey everyone, ready to dive into another juicy topic. Today we're tackling the age-old question. Should you play the field when you're young or go all in for the one right away?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's a dilemma that I think a lot of people can relate to, especially when you're trying to figure out your love life.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And we're going to be unpacking it with a fascinating thread from Reddit that you sent over. Someone posted on the Ask Men Advice subreddit looking for some wisdom on this very topic, so get ready for some diverse opinions.
Oh, I love a good Reddit deep dive. Always so many different perspectives, and you never know what kind of gems you're going to find.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's set the scene. The original poster, who goes by the username SluttyJizz, ironically.
Oh, the irony.
I know, right? Anyway, she's 19 years old,
Yeah.
and she wants to find a long-term partner, but her friends are all about, the whole sow your wild oats thing.
Classic college dilemma, right? You're surrounded by all these possibilities,
Yeah.
and everyone's telling you to experiment.
Exactly. So she's wondering, if she doesn't explore those casual relationships now, will she regret it later? Maybe even be tempted to stray from a committed relationship down the line. It's a really interesting question, and the responses she got are all over the map.
That's what makes these deep dives so interesting. You get to see how different people approach these big life questions.
Yeah, for sure. So some commenters were totally on board with her desire for a committed relationship. They were praising her maturity and self-awareness at such a young age. Like, one person shared their own story about finding happiness in a marriage that started when they were 18. It's a good reminder that there's no right path when it comes to love.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just know what you want, and that's perfectly okay. You don't have to follow a specific timeline.
Right. But then there were others who were like, hold up, girl, you're only 19. People change a lot over time. They cautioned her about getting too serious too soon because those experiences can be so valuable for self-discovery.
That makes sense. It's all about learning about yourself, what you value, and what you're looking for in a partner.
Yeah, one commenter even suggested just focusing on dating people she genuinely liked and enjoying the journey. Not getting too hung up on finding the one right away, but just seeing where things go.
It's about being open to the possibilities and
Yeah,
trusting the process, right?
totally. But of course, there's always the flip side to every argument. There are also people warning about the potential downsides of casual relationships. Like some said it could damage her self-esteem or lead to issues in future relationships.
Oh, I see where they're coming from. There can definitely be emotional risks involved in casual dating.
For sure. One commenter was really intense about it and even compared casual intimacy to a type of addiction, calling it a trauma response. He was adamant that it's ultimately unfulfilling.
Wow, that's a pretty strong stance. It definitely highlights how deeply people feel about this topic.
Yeah, and it kind of shows how society judges sexuality, especially for women. Like, there's this whole double standard about how many partners you've had.
Oh, absolutely. Societal expectations and personal biases definitely play a role in how we view relationships. It's a lot more complicated than just right or wrong.
So true. And you see this grass is always greener
Mm.
thing happening in the thread, too. People who are more open to casual relationships looking back with some regrets. And those who weren't wondering, what if?
Hmm.
It's like everyone second guesses themselves at some point.
It's human nature, right? To wonder if we made the right choices. But maybe it's not about finding the perfect path, but learning from those experiences no matter what they were.
I agree. It's about growth, not perfection. Now, amidst all this back and forth, a couple of comments really jumped out at me. One was from a self-proclaimed former player. He said casual dating was fun for a while, but eventually it just left him feeling empty, so he decided to seek out a deeper connection.
Interesting. It challenges the stereotype that men are only interested in casual relationships. Maybe it's more about what stage of life you're in and what you're looking for at that moment.
Totally. Like, people's priorities can shift over time. And then there was this other comment from a woman who's been in a relationship since she was 18. She never felt the need for a more experimental phase, which just shows how everyone's different.
It's a good reminder that we shouldn't let societal pressures dictate our choices in love. What works for one person might not work for another.
Exactly. It all comes down to defining what you want, not what everyone else tells you to want. But here's what I found really thought-provoking. Sometimes the thread connects the desire for multiple partners with unhappiness or feeling unfulfilled in relationships.
Hmm. So maybe for some people, it's not about the casual relationships themselves, but about trying to address something deeper going on.
Yeah, maybe it's not about getting it out of your system, but more like a symptom of something else.
That's fascinating. It flips the whole conversation on its head.
I know, right? So before we go any further, I want to hear from you, the listener. What stands out to you in all of this? What resonates the most? Take a moment to reflect on what truly matters to you in relationships. And we'll be back after a quick break to continue our deep dive into this really interesting discussion.
One thing that really struck me about this thread is just how much it reveals about societal expectations,
Uh,
especially when it comes to gender roles and sexuality and stuff.
oh, totally. I was just thinking that. Like, some of those comments definitely have some underlying assumptions about men needing to be more experienced
Mm,
and women being judged more harshly for the same behavior.
right, exactly. It makes you wonder, are these old societal beliefs actually helping us build healthy relationships? Or are they kind of creating this unnecessary pressure and, holding us back from finding genuine connection?
It's a really good question. And it's not just about like individual choices, right?
Mm.
This whole debate is happening in like a much larger cultural context.
Mm. Oh, for sure. We can't ignore the influence of media and stuff. Like how relationships are portrayed, in movies and TV shows, and also just evolving social norms and even personal experiences and how we were raised.
hmm All of that shapes how we view dating and relationships. Like, think about how dating apps and hookup culture have changed things. It's like a whole new set of rules and expectations,
Yeah.
which can make figuring out the dating world even more confusing.
Yeah, it's like we're constantly bombarded with all these messages about what a successful dating life should look like. It can be so hard to just tune out all that noise and figure out what actually feels right for you.
Oh, totally. Being aware of all those influences is key. And like
Mm.
critically evaluating those messages we're taking in. Asking yourself, like, do these beliefs align with my own values? Or are they just like societal expectations that maybe don't serve me anymore?
Yeah, it's about taking ownership of your choices, and not letting yourself get swayed by pressures that don't align with your true self. And it's interesting how this Reddit thread kind of becomes a microcosm of all these bigger societal debates that are going on.
It really does. You see people arguing for like traditional values and the importance of waiting for marriage, while others are all about a more open approach to sexuality and relationships. It's like this clash of ideologies playing out in real time.
It's pretty fascinating. And one thing I find encouraging is how the original poster is actively engaging with all these different viewpoints. She's not just passively taking it all in. She's pushing back, clarifying her own perspective, and it seems like she's really working towards a decision that feels right for her.
Yeah, it's a great example of how to handle these kind of complex conversations with thoughtfulness and self-awareness.
Definitely. And I think it highlights how important honest and open communication is, both with ourselves and with others, being willing to listen to different viewpoints, challenge our own assumptions, and ultimately make choices that are true to our values and what we want in life.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Right.
So I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about the thread revealing a deeper question about how we define a fulfilling life.
Yes. Exactly. That's the real question, isn't it? The thread is focused on this specific dilemma of whether to have a lot of partners or focus on finding one. But it kind of hints at this bigger question that we all grapple with. What actually makes for a fulfilling life? Is it checking off certain experiences? Or is it about finding deep connection and meaning no matter what path we choose?
I love that. It's like it goes beyond just the number of partners someone's had, and it makes us think about what truly matters.
Exactly. It asks us to examine what we're really looking for in relationships. Are we searching for validation, excitement, or something much deeper, like intimacy, companionship, a shared journey with someone special?
It's like peeling back the layers and getting to the core of what motivates our choices in relationships, which I think is what makes this whole discussion so captivating. It's not just about dissecting a Reddit thread. It's about using it to explore these bigger questions about love, values, and what it means to live a meaningful life.
You said it perfectly. It's a reminder that even conversations that seem surface level can be super insightful if we dig a little deeper.
So true. Now, before we wrap things up, I want to remind everyone listening that we love hearing your thoughts.
Oh, we really do. So if you're enjoying this conversation, give this episode a like and subscribe to Voices of the Soul for more awesome deep dives just like this one.
And don't forget to check out Shauna Plage's YouTube channel for even more thought-provoking content on relationships, personal growth, and living a more authentic life.
We're always on the lookout for new topics, so let us know in the comments what you'd like us to unpack next. We so appreciate you joining us on this journey of exploration.
This thread has given us so much to think about, wouldn't you say?
It really has. It's such a good reminder of just how complex and nuanced modern relationships can be.
If there's one thing I'm taking away from all of this, it's that there's just no one-size-fits-all answer when it comes to these big life choices. It's about being true to yourself, understanding your values, and making decisions that feel authentic to you, regardless of what anyone else might say.
Couldn't agree more. It's about defining what a fulfilling life looks like to you. And you know that vision might evolve as you grow and learn from your experiences.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing about it, right? Life is all about self-discovery.
Totally. And as you navigate that journey, just remember to be kind to yourself, embrace all the lessons along the way, and don't be afraid to question things.
So well said. I think this Reddit thread also kind of highlighted the importance of being intentional in our choices. It's not just about what we do, but also why we do it.
Exactly. What are we hoping to get out of our relationships? Are we looking for genuine connection or just trying to fill some void? Those are such important questions to ask ourselves.
For sure. So as you continue to explore dating and relationships, remember to check in with yourself. Understand your intentions, and make sure they align with your values and what you ultimately want out of life.
And remember, the journey is just as important as the destination. So enjoy the process of learning and growing. And trust that you'll find your way to a love that feels real and fulfilling to you.
You know, it's so easy to compare ourselves to others, especially when it comes to relationships.
Oh, isn't it though?
Yeah, like you see someone who seems to have it all figured out.
And you're like, wait, why am I not there yet?
Exactly. But this Reddit thread really makes you realize everyone's on their own journey. There's no right way to do things.
Right, like comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20.
Yeah.
You're at totally different points, you know?
Absolutely. And we all need that reminder sometimes. Like there's no single roadmap to happiness and fulfillment. It looks different for everyone.
Totally. And honestly, that's one of the most liberating things we can realize. Letting go of the need to follow someone else's path.
Yeah.
And just trusting that our own journey is unfolding exactly as it should.
It's about embracing the unknown,
Right.
and the uncertainty that comes with it, trusting the process, even when it feels kind of messy or confusing.
Yeah. And giving ourselves permission to make mistakes along the way because we're gonna,
Oh, for sure.
they're inevitable, but they're also huge opportunities for growth.
I love that. It's not about being perfect, but about constantly evolving and becoming the best versions of ourselves.
Exactly. And relationships can be these amazing catalysts for growth,
Oh, absolutely.
They challenge us, they push us out of our comfort zones, and they force us to confront our own limiting beliefs.
Yeah, like they hold up a mirror showing us parts of ourselves we might not even realize are there.
Oh, totally. They can illuminate our strengths and our weaknesses, our desires and our fears, and that whole process is a chance to learn and grow in these really profound ways.
Well, I think this has been a really insightful deep dive.
I
We've
know.
explored so much today, from dealing with societal pressures to figuring out what we're really looking for in love.
Yeah, it's been a great conversation.
What's your biggest takeaway?
Honestly, for me, it's remembering that there's no one right way to approach relationships, but it's so important to be intentional, to be really clear about our values, what we desire, and what we truly want in a partner.
I couldn't agree more. It's about making choices that feel aligned with our vision for a fulfilling life, instead of just going with the flow or letting societal pressures dictate our decision.
Absolutely. And remembering that relationships are a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
There's going to be ups and downs, twists and turns,
Oh, for sure.
but it's all part of the experience.
So well said. And on that note, we want to thank you so much for joining us on this journey of exploration.
Yes, thank you. If you enjoyed this deep dive, be sure to like this episode and subscribe to Voices of the Soul for more thought-provoking discussions like this one.
And don't forget to visit Shauna Pelage's YouTube channel for more awesome content on relationships, personal growth, and living a more authentic life. Until next time, take care.